The Behemoth of the Apocalypse is summoned in the United States, one of the world's last surviving nations, as Earth faces a demotion match. BattleNet appeared on Earth in 2010 and was initially a competition between countries until 2022, when Earth was introduced into the Space League and pitted against other worlds in a battle for survival. Humanity was defeated time and time again, and only 10 countries remain as the world faces destruction. Marshal Saint Sung JiHan, the world's best warrior-type player and ranked 7th in the world, defeats the Behemoth of the Apocalypse himself. Baron is rank 1 in the world rankings, and the guild master of the America First Guild that JiHan is a part of. He gives a victory speech while Saint Sophia moves to heal JiHan and notices his missing left arm. Baron claims the boss reward for himself and a few others he chooses, while noticeably leaving JiHan out because he's not American, labeling him as just a dog. Despite his SSS ranked skill, JiHan is from Korea, not the US, and faced prejudice as others wouldn't fully accept him. The game's results are announced, and we see that China and the US are the only countries to have survived. Since Earth failed the game overall and cannot be demoted lower than Bronze within the Space League, it faces its final demotion match against the Urk. The match starts and Baron is immediately slaughtered. The Urks wipe out their human opponents and lock in Earth's doom. With that, the world is deleted, and JiHan finds his SSS tier skill, Nameless Divine Arts, allows him to resist deletion. Higher beings notice his resistance and send him back in time to the start with hope for his potential. When he wakes up, he finds himself back in 2020 in a penthouse belonging to his brother, Sword King Yoon-Se-jin. Instead of returning to the start of the league, he instead returned to when he first joined the league, and woke up after a night of heavy drinking at level 2. This is his chance to change the future. Sword King Se-jin carries Korea in its international games as the 3rd ranking player in the world ranking. Thanks to him, Korea has always held a high ranking in the East Asian League. JiHan's regression starts with a familiar scene of his brother-in-law, the Sword King, announcing that he's becoming a Japanese citizen and leaving Korea to join the Japanese Neo Self-Defense Force. In the original timeline, Korea lost repeatedly after that and dropped through the rankings at a frightening pace. While Earth is still in the tutorial season, it's still considered only a game. JiHan knows that he only has 2 years until 2022 hits and the world enters the Space League, where the survival of the entire planet is on the line, and death in the game equates to death in real life. He looks at a picture frame of his brother-in-law with his sister and niece before giving in to his anger and punching Se-jin's photo in the face. He then takes stock of his situation. Before accidentally joining the league, JiHan just drank and gambled using his F-rank Wanderer's Eye gift, which is probably his most redeeming characteristic. All of his stats are at the lowest level of 5 after all. While everyone becomes a player when they turn 18, only a select few received gifts. Thanks to his knowledge of the future, he knows that his F-rank gift has amazing potential later on though. He only entered the game in the first place due to accidentally drinking one of Se-jin's experience potions while drunk and was pretty much a loser during that time. Other than the gift, JiHan sees that he has 100,000 achievement points, a useless honor score of sorts. In his case though, he finds an X-Rank exchange voucher in his inventory that will allow him the right to exchange achievement points in a special shop. None of the shop's starting items are useful to him immediately, so JiHan upgrades the shop to level 4 when he finds an emergency recovery item has been added. That gives him an idea for his first step to reaching the power of his former life. JiHan goes through everything Se-jin left behind and finds a fairly useless item that the Sword King was unable to sell before he left Korea, Dongfang Shuo's broken brush. Given only 10 seconds until the start of the player tutorial, JiHan uses the brush to paint over and combine his strength, agility, and vitality stats into a single unique stat, Martial Power. Summoned into the tutorial map, he's given the task to survive the monsters and other new players in the Coliseum until only 50 out of 100 players remain. It's just the start, but Martial Power should be more than enough to clear the Bronze League. What's more than that, since he refuses to use the Sword King's BattleNet connector, which reduces pain by 99%, he joined the game directly and will experience any pain in full. A new limited quest appears before him to achieve first in the tutorial mission, and a player mistakes JiHan, who entered the game with no weapon or equipment other than the clothes on his back, as an easy kill. JiHan easily catches the man's surprise attack between 2 fingers. The Gangnam Bronze League that JiHan finds himself in is particularly known for containing prospects many guilds are placing their hopes and funds into. Do Hyaku, the player attacking JiHan, is from the Twin Star Guild and has the A-rank gift of Agile that increases his agility by 25 and ignores league stat limits. He's determined to give a good performance and notices JiHan looking over his stats. Wearing sweatpants and holding no weapon to speak of, He's a perfect first kill target. JiHan catches the attack between two fingers and sends Hyukgu tumbling to the ground and calls the agile gift trash. Hyukgu might be objectively faster than him, but his attacks are easy to read for someone of JiHan's level. Eventually, he kills Hyukgu with his own sword and obtains the tutorial's first kill. If he wants first place, he'll need at least 5 more. He looks to the monsters grouped up within the arena. Most players ignore them since they only count as 0.1 kills each, but a new quest urges him to attack the Urk monster horde. They're just monsters, not actual Urks, but they should be easy enough. JiHan catches their throwing axes and launches them back at the Urk horde before using their weapons to continue his slaughter. The Urks feel some hope when the weapons break in JiHan's hands, but he just sends them flying with a hard stomp on the ground and picks up more fallen weapons to end them with. He clears the quest to kill the monster horde and levels up mid-game, which is rare because experience is usually calculated at the end of the game. With only martial power and magic power as options since most of his stats were combined into martial power, JiHan puts his free stat point into it. Since it's a combined stat, it outputs twice the power as a normal stat would in each of its contributing stats. Also, once the stat hits 30, he'll have a pathway to obtaining nameless divine arts. The biggest problem with martial power is that, rather than the click of a button, it rises based on experience and the points just serve to raise the cap. When it comes to JiHan, he already has the experience from his past life, so martial power goes up by 1 immediately as he spends a point on it. He dodges an arrow as a warrior-archer duo confront him, summoned into the arena from the same guild by pure chance. There are only 60 players left, and JiHan leads with 4 kills against second place's 3. The 2 players are a perfect way for him to secure his first place ranking. While they're looking down on him, JiHan kills the archer before she can even react. The warrior, though, proves to be more durable. The B-rank armor supplied by his turtle guild only slightly cracks under JiHan's attack. The warrior doesn't feel relief for long though, because JiHan maneuvers to stay at the warrior's back and just attacks the same point in the man's armor until he pierces through with his trashy Urk weapons. Later on, Lee Haeyeon, a Twin Star Guild executive manager, speaks with Yeom-Bi, who finished second in JiHan's match. They aren't sure who he is, but they intend to find out. Yeom-Bi possesses an S-rank gift, and everyone expected her to take first place until JiHan showed up and took it with no affiliation and no proper equipment. Back in the penthouse, JiHan sees he leveled up 3 times and invests all 3 points into martial power, bringing it up to 9. Since he finished first, he also received a title, the one who conquered the tutorial, which raises all of his stats by 1 and gives him an extra 20% experience. The effects are nice, but it only applies in the Bronze League. He now has 10 points in martial power. With that, the rest of the Bronze League should be a breeze. Promotions to Silver League start at level 25, so he's well on his way. Also, due to having reached and passed level 5, JiHan is given a class option. He was a warrior in his past life, but he isn't locked into a single class anymore due to the extra class slot available in the achievement shop. He picks a class and enters his next game, a 10 towers defense game where he has to protect a crystal on his team's tower as zombies swarm and climb up. The players are randomly summoned, 1 of each class, and JiHan ends up with Yeom-Bi again, an archer in B-rank equipment from the LK guild, and a mage who seems unaffiliated but has fantastic gear. JiHan is summoned last, and we see he picked the support class. Of course, Gyeong immediately recognizes him. Picking support might seem strange, but the class unlocks the divine power stat that serves as the key to unlocking another unique stat that JiHan is after. Divine power can't really be raised through training, and he's already investing his stat points into martial power. Luckily though, there's an alternative method. When the mage sees JiHan only holding a metal pole as his weapon and wearing nothing but a tracksuit, he starts yelling at JiHan and accusing him of being a loser who wants a free ride. The mage refuses to participate. JiHan already knows he can clear the game without him, so it seems more that the mage is the one looking for a free ride. Not falling for the man's provocation, JiHan picks him up and tosses him off the tower and into the crowd of zombies below. You're given 3 lives in the bronze defense games, so the mage quickly revives before JiHan casually tosses him off the tower again. He only has a single life left, so the mage, Kim Gyu-hyuk, bows to JiHan and apologizes. It's okay if he loses, but he absolutely can't finish last or else his level will decrease and his skills will disappear. Gyu-hyuk tries to appeal to JiHan's drive to win by pointing out he's a fire mage, the best sort of asset to have on the defense map. Gyeong recognizes him as a troll mage who likes picking fights with others, and sure enough, Gyu-hyuk just can't let it go. He asks JiHan to apologize and says he'll only participate under that condition, but he was never really needed to begin with. JiHan tosses him off the tower for the final time. While they wait for the zombies to climb the tower and watch the other towers defending with fire mages, JiHan sees that he has a unique quest chain to kill 1,000 zombies himself. Due to the time limitation, the quest normally would be impossible, but he can't ignore the 3,000 achievement points offered as a reward. As he thinks over his course of action, Ga-young believes him to be just a troll as well and loses interest in scouting him for the Twin Star Guild. The archer berates him for killing the mage as Ga-young steps forward to do her job as the warrior and be at the front line. But JiHan turns her away and tells her to just protect the archer. The first zombie to crest the tower is a blood zombie, which is immune to physical attacks. JiHan's new divine power stat comes into play, and we see him channel the fire through his metal pole as he completely obliterates the fearsome blood zombie. The archer's tune completely changes at the sight, and he cheers JiHan on. Ga-young's opinion of him changes as well when she sees the unbelievable level of control he has over his usage of divine power and attacks. His divine power increases to 7 as he kills around 200 zombies, and we see his separate method of raising divine power working. He only knows about the method due to Saint Sophia explaining it to him in his past life, but certain otherworldly relics can be used to raise divine power through meeting certain conditions for each relic. It was only ever possible until Earth properly joined the Space League and fought other planets, so not many knew about it. Given his knowledge, JiHan realized that the only other person to really purchase relics in bulk was his deceased sister, Sung JiHan. In fact, the metal pole he's using is one of the relics his sister left behind. The power can only be absorbed from relics once they reach F rank though, but it's still sturdy and good for general use, and he continues to kill zombies with it. Their archer remains oblivious and is just in awe at how well they're doing, to the point that Ga-young has to draw her sword and use her recognizable swordsmanship to save him from a zombie. Only then does JiHan recognize her. In his past life, she was a good prospect for becoming the Sword King after Saint left, but that same Sword King killed her in the end. Their tower is only in second place with 398 kills, and there isn't nearly enough time for JiHan to solo 600 more zombies. He accepts her help in killing them so they can at least make that first place goal. With nothing else to lose, he jumps from the tower into the zombie horde to get as many kills as he can, while the other two defend the crystal for the last minute and a half. They do end up finishing first, but JiHan only kills 560 zombies, not the 1,000 he needed for his chain quest. Before he can log out, Ga-young approaches him and asks for his number so that she can recruit him to her guild. She skipped a few too many steps though. How would it look if someone just randomly asked for your number? She starts to explain, but he interrupts her and tells her that he can't remember his number. It's a classic rejection line. In his case though, he really doesn't know it. He lived a whole different life through the end of the world after all. But he doesn't intend to join a guild either way. After the defense game, he levels up twice and gains 1500 GP. When he gets back home after some basic shopping, he finds a pair of women's shoes next to the doorway. He had many regrets in his past life, but one of his biggest was being unable to protect her, his niece, Seiya. He had missed her for years and wished he could change things, and her smiling at him in real life again leaves him shocked. At 17 years old, she hasn't become a player or awakened a gift yet, but she's his sister's daughter. He often took care of her and spent time with her due to how busy his sister was, so they have a close relationship, and they're the only two left of their close family with the Sword King's departure. She reveals that her dad had called her before leaving to explain he fell in love with the woman from Japan, who would only accept his feelings if he abandoned his daughter and life in Korea completely. Despite everything she must be feeling, Seiya smiles brightly and worries for JiHan, trying to comfort him when she sees the shattered photo. In the Twin Star Guild headquarters, Haeyeon laughs when she hears that JiHan refused to give his number to Ga-young. They decide they need to recruit JiHan to the Twin Star Guild at all costs when Haeyeon gets a stream notification for a gambling channel she used to follow in the past and turns it on. JiHan speaks from the other end of the stream and reveals to everyone that he's the Sword King's brother-in-law. After his quick introduction, he turns to a famous statue of the Sword King's twin swords shown on the rooftop behind him and breaks it to pieces, while the stream chat goes crazy with threats and confusion. After he destroys the statue, achievement messages flood over JiHan's notifications. As a part of Battle.net, BattleTube allows players to receive achievements and rewards through views, subscriptions, and other criteria. Taking advantage of the nation's turmoil over the Sword King allows JiHan to sweep in the reward for viewers, subscribers, and dislikes. He continues to receive threatening messages from the Sword King fan club, the group that pushed Seiya to her death in his previous life. As extreme supporters of Saint, they took their anger out on Seiya and blamed her for the Sword King's betrayal of his country. JiHan is also using the stream to protect Seiya. After all, if he makes them all hate him, they won't be as interested in harassing her. He goes on to play the call the Sword King had with Seiya before he changed citizenship. When the recording ends, Seiya introduces herself to the stream and states that she's going to be rejecting her inheritance, the massive building she and Jihan live in called the Sword Palace. It's all part of Jihan's plan though. Given his knowledge of the future, he knows that the government will take the building eventually anyway, so donating the building before then will buy goodwill with the public. Despite being known as a loser and a drunk at the time, she shows just how much trust she has in him and easily agrees. In order to drive sentiment and attention toward him to his peak, Jihan leaves the Sword King a parting message on the stream and promises to crush him. The message has its intended effect and puts Korea and Japan into an uproar. Shortly after, the pair receive a visitor. Elsewhere in Japan, Sword King Seijin watches the video and is comforted by the woman he fell for, Shizori. Not everything is as clear as it seems, and a strange pink energy swirls around the room as the two kiss. Is the Sword King in his right mind, or is there someone else behind the scenes? We hope you enjoyed the story so far. Check out the martial god Regressed to level 2 to find out what happens next in Jihan's adventure to reclaiming his former power.